Welcome to A News. I'm Leila Masimwa. Here are the headlines. Tensions flare up between Rwanda and DRC as UN Security Council members pressure Rwanda over alleged support for M23 rebels. US and Colombia avoid trade war as deal reached on deportation flights. South Korean investigators have confirmed that a bird strike caused Jeju air flight crash. The United States, France and Britain are pressing Rwanda over its alleged support for M23 rebels advancing toward Goma, the city largest in eastern Congo. The escalating violence has caused civilian displacement and growing regional concerns about a wider conflict.
In eastern Congo, a violent conflict has been unfolding for years, with rebel groups fighting the government for control of mineral-rich territories. The M23, a group of rebels made up mostly of ethnic Tutsis, has been at the center of this fighting. This month, they have made rapid advances in eastern Congo, now threatening the city of Goma, home to about 1 million people. The situation has led to widespread fear as the rebels edge closer to seizing the city. The M23 claims to protect Tutsi communities in Congo, but the Congolese government accuses Rwanda of supporting the rebels to extend its influence in the region. Rwanda denies the accusations, but many international observers, including the United Nations, believe otherwise. The UN has pointed to evidence suggesting Rwanda's military provides training, arms, and even direct support to the rebels, with the aim of destabilizing Congo and asserting control over the region's valuable resources, such as minerals. Meanwhile, the DRC recalled its diplomats from Rwanda and asked Rwanda to cease diplomatic and consular activities in the Congolese capital, Kinshasa, within 48 hours, according to a leaked foreign ministry letter to the Rwandan embassy. As the violence intensifies, the UN Security Council convened an emergency meeting to address the crisis, with 3 peacekeepers already killed in recent days.
Today, despite ongoing MONUSCO support to FARDC, M23 and Rwandan forces penetrated Munigi, captured in the outskirts of Goma city, causing mass panic and flight among the population. Roads are blocked and the airport can no longer be used for evacuation or humanitarian efforts. M23 has declared the airspace over Goma closed. In other words, we are trapped. I call on this council to act now to secure the civilian population, humanitarian aid workers, and all United Nations personnel.
The United States, France, and Britain have called for an immediate ceasefire and accountability for those fueling instability.
The United States will consider all the tools at its disposal in order to hold accountable those responsible for sustaining armed conflict, instability, and insecurity in the DRC.
The East Africa community leaders have also stepped in, with Kenya's President William Ruto calling for peace talks. He expressed grave concern over the worsening humanitarian crisis, urging an immediate and unconditional cessation of hostilities.
We will be convening an extraordinary East African Community Summit within the next 48 hours to facilitate and to deliberate on this crisis and chart a way forward.
However, despite numerous peace efforts in the past, the region remains in turmoil, and fears grow that the fighting could expand across borders.
The Russian government announced that it had taken control of 2 new settlements in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, Russian forces have captured the village of Zeleny, located approximately 7 kilometers south of Pokrovsk, a key military logistics hub for Ukraine. The minister claims they seized Velika Novosilka along the Remivka front, a hotspot for intense fighting. The Ukrainian armed forces reported ongoing fierce battles near Pokrovsk, including around Zeleny and Velika Novosilka. The Ukrainian government has not yet commented on Russia's claims, and independent verification is challenging due to the conflict. Iran has unveiled its largest drone yet in a military exercise in southern Iran. The drone is named Gaza in honor of the Palestinian enclave, which has been devastated by the war over a year. At the drone inspection, Major General Hossein Salami and IRGC Airspace Force Commander Amir Ali Hajizadeh were present. Hajizadeh noted the drone can carry up to 12 bombs, has been 35-hour flight endurance, and will be used for border operations. Over 47,000 people have died in Gaza since Israel's campaign began following the Hamas attack on October 7th. After over a year of displacement, Palestinian families have begun returning to their homes in northern Gaza. This long-awaited homecoming comes as part of broad ceasefire agreement brokered by international mediators following months of intense negotiations.
On Monday morning, thousands of displaced Palestinian families started their journey back to northern Gaza. The return was made possible after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Palestinians would be allowed to go home starting Monday. The decision was part of a deal mediated by Qatar and Egypt, under which the Palestinian militant group Hamas agreed to release 3 Israeli hostages. As part of the agreement, Israel began easing roadblocks on key routes, enabling approximately 650,000 displaced Palestinians to return to their homes in northern Gaza. The first crossing point in central Gaza opened at 7 a.m. local time, with another opening at 9 a.m., allowing thousands to move northward. They traveled in cars, trucks, and rickshaws, overloaded with belongings such as mattresses, food, and the tents that served as their shelters for over a year in central and southern Gaza. Scenes of joy and relief were evident as families carrying bags of belongings greeted each other with hugs and selfies amid the ruins of Gaza City.
We want to go see our family. We want to go see my mother and father. We haven't seen them for 15 months. We want to go. It's been a long time since we are waiting to see them. We are now going. I haven't seen my family for a year and a half. I want to go back to see them. I've been waiting for 3 days to go to my parents. We are tired. I want to go to Gaza City. We're not coming back here.
The region has been devastated by a 15-month aerial and ground war, which has left much of northern Gaza in ruins. As families take their first steps toward rebuilding their lives amidst the destruction, this moment could signal the beginning of a path toward lasting peace in the region.
Yes, and Colombia averted a major crisis in bilateral relations after both nations reached a last-minute agreement. Tensions escalated after a South American country rejected 2 U.S. military planes carrying deported migrants under the new U.S. immigration policy.
The US and Colombia pulled back from the brink of a trade war after the White House said the South American nation had agreed to accept military aircraft carrying deported migrants. US President Donald Trump said he would impose sweeping retaliatory measures on Colombia, including tariffs, sanctions, and travel bans. Tensions between the sides escalated after the South American country turned away 2 US military aircrafts with migrants being deported as part of the new US administration's immigration crackdown. Trump's swift action appeared aimed at making an example of Colombia to dissuade other countries from defying him on deportation flights. The US president said Colombian President Gustavo Petro's refusal jeopardized US national security and has directed his administration to take retaliatory measures. Trump planned to impose emergency 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the United States, which was supposed to go up to 50% in 1 week, as well as a travel ban and visa revocations on Colombian government officials and its allies. Petro condemned the practice, suggesting it treated migrants like criminals, and in response, Colombia threatened a 50% tariff on US goods. According to the State Department, the United States is Colombia's largest trade and investment partner, and Colombia is also the US's third largest trade partner in Latin America. Mexico also refused a request last week to let a US military aircraft land with migrants. Trump did not take similar action against Mexico, the US largest trading partner, but has said he was thinking of imposing 25% duties on imports from Canada and Mexico on February 1st.
Meanwhile, initial diplomatic tensions between Colombia and the US have sparked concern among Colombian residents.
President Donald Trump's decision to impose wide-ranging economic and diplomatic sanctions on Colombia for rejecting the US deportation flights has raised concerns among Colombians.
If they are deported from another country, they must be received here because this is their country. If the president, how can one accept that? If you come to your own country, how can you not be accepted? It's not logical.
The introduction of tariffs in the trade architecture between the two states raised significant concern among the Colombians, who fear the far-reaching consequences of restrictive trade measures.
It affects us. It will affect all people exporting their products. This will put a halt on Colombian commerce with the United States. This will completely affect us.
The problem is that President Gustavo Petro needs to think with a cold head. Not ideologically, but regarding what's best for our country. I think he needs to think more.
As Colombians await further developments, investors anticipate heavy blow to Colombian peso after the start of diplomatic row with the US.
The United States President Donald Trump has hinted at the possibility of rejoining the World Health Organization. This comes after signing an official order to withdraw the US.
United States President Donald Trump says he may consider rejoining the World Health Organization after signing an executive order to withdraw the United States on his first day in office. Trump's decision to withdraw comes as he accused the World Health Organization, which gets a fifth of its budget from the US, of ripping America off, claiming unfairness in what the United States pays in comparison to China.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million. We were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me.
Now the United States president hints of a possible return to the World Health Organization after reduced figures have been discussed.
They offered me at 39 million. They said, we'll let you back in at 39. So we're going to reduce it from 500 to 39. I turned them down because it became so popular. I didn't know if it would be well received even at 39. But maybe we would consider doing it again. I don't know. Maybe we would. They have to clean it up a little bit. But China pays 39 million for 1.4 billion, and we're paying 500 million for 325 million. I don't know. What the hell is wrong with these people?
Trump's decision to withdraw the United States from the World Health Organization has been met with concern by United Nations agencies and the European Union, who believe the funding from the US has been crucial to the success of the organization.
For over 7 decades, WHO and the United States of America have saved countless lives and protected Americans and all people from health threats. Together, we ended smallpox, and together we have brought polio to the brink of eradication. American institutions have contributed to and benefited from membership in WHO.
We see with concerns the announcement to withdraw from the WHO organization by the United States, and we trust that the US administration will consider all this ahead of the formal withdrawal.
The United States is scheduled to leave the World Health Organization on January 22, 2026. If this is achieved, experts believe it could lead to delayed responses to major disease outbreaks.
Alexander Lukashenko has won the presidential election in Belarus. Chairman of the Central Election Commission, Igor Karpenko, told the media at the information center. According to results published on the Central Election Commission, Lukashenko took 86.8% of the vote. Lukashenko faced no serious challenge from the four other candidates on the ballot, as his closest rival secured 3.21% of votes. Voter turnout amounted to 85.69%. Presidents of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, and Tajikistan have already congratulated Lukashenko with the victory. South Korean investigators have confirmed dark remains were found in both engines of the ill-fated Jeju air flight, which killed 179 people last month.
South Korea has released the initial findings of a probe into the crash of a Jeju air flight last month, but mysteries remain. All 175 passengers and 4 of 6 crew members were killed in the incident, making it the worst ever air crash on South Korean soil. Now investigators say they have found dark remains in both engines of the Boeing 737-800. They also confirmed that the pilots reported a boat strike, but it's still unclear why the plane landed with its wheels up. It's also a mystery why voice and data recorders, the so-called black boxes, both failed just before pilots declared an emergency. At the moment they failed, data showed the plane was still flying. Investigators are also probing the role played by airport structures. After it touched down, the airliner plowed into an embankment built around navigation equipment at Muan Airport. Critics have said the structure contributed to the high death toll and should not have been located in line with the runway. The International Civil Aviation Organization, a UN agency, requires accident investigators to submit a preliminary report within 30 days. It then encourages them to produce a final report within 12 months. South Korean investigators have promised an all-out effort to determine the full causes of the crash.
A gas-filled LPG tanker truck exploded in Pakistan's Multan region, resulting in a tragic accident. At least 5 people lost their lives and 31 others were injured. The explosion led to a massive fire where debris from the tanker falling onto nearby residential areas and causing significant damage. Witnesses reported that the destruction severely affected nearby vehicles and houses. Emergency services and rescuers were deployed to the scene, and efforts to mitigate the effects of the explosion are still underway. In New Caledonia, a 2-day summit brought together independence movements from France's overseas territories, focusing on self-determination and liberty for regions such as Martinique, French Guiana, and French Polynesia.
A 2-day summit of independence movements from France's overseas territories took place in New Caledonia on 23rd to 24th January. The event, organised under the banner of the International Front for Decolonisation, brought together representatives from various territories, including Martinique, French Guiana, Guadeloupe, Corsica, and French Polynesia. The summit, held in Nouméa, aimed to discuss self-determination and governance issues in these regions. Delegates deliberated on a roadmap for potential political and economic autonomy, as well as the preservation of cultural identities. Discussions included matters related to resource management, governance structures, and geopolitical developments. One of the key themes was reducing external influence in internal affairs.
We want to ensure that the French state no longer controls our affairs. If there is one state interfering in our affairs, it is the French state. We want full powers to govern our country, develop our economy, preserve our culture, and shape our international strategy. That is the purpose of this front. And this is significant because for the first time in the history of French colonies, so many organizations have come together. Numerous groups and nations are uniting under a common instrument of struggle, the International Front for Decolonization. This truly marks a new phase.
A new world order is currently taking shape. Even though we are small, we stand tall, upholding values that we must also contribute. It is part of humanity's collective future, ensuring that the world can continue to prosper with these small yet sovereign and independent nations.
As part of the event, attendees visited the Customary Senate and the Jean-Marie Tjibaou Cultural Centre, key institutions representing New Caledonia's Indigenous Kanak heritage. The summit concluded with a working session dedicated to structuring the movement's activities for 2025, including discussions on governance, economic sustainability, and legal matters. The Baku Initiative Group, which had been involved in the creation of the International Front for Decolonization in July 2024, participated in the summit via video link after its representatives were reportedly unable to obtain visas. The organization's leader, Abbas Abbasov, addressed the Congress remotely, referencing previous statements by Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev, who had expressed solidarity with the Kanak people.
In 2024, the world witnessed the tragic and unjust events in Kanaki, where French authorities violently suppressed peaceful protests of Kanak nation. This brutal crackdown, including the loss of 13 innocent lives and over 200 injuries, once again demonstrated the urgent intervention and solidarity of the world community on the issue of ending colonialism. I proudly would like to remind you that the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Mr. Ilham Aliyev, publicly condemned the crimes against the Kanak people and expressed his support to the colonized regions. Moreover, Baku Initiative Group immediately sent the letters to the head of international organizations and publicized the atrocities against the Kanak people. As a result of our joint efforts, the world community soon became aware of these atrocities.
In a symbolic gesture, the Kanak representatives in Noumea reportedly raised the Azerbaijani flag during the event, a move that was described as a show of appreciation for expressions of international support. The summit's final resolutions will be presented at the upcoming Congress of the Kanak and Socialist National Liberation Front, New Caledonia's primary pro-independence political coalition.
Meta Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg has said the tech giant plans to invest at least $60 billion in artificial intelligence in 2025, aiming to lead in the technology. This will be a defining year for AI, Zuckerberg said in his post on Facebook page. Mark Zuckerberg aims for Meta AI to become the top digital assistant used by over 1 billion people, with Llama 4 leading AI models. Meta is also developing an AI engineer to assist in coding for research and plans to rebuild a large data center, investing $60 to $65 billion in AI-related capital expenditures this year. This follows President Trump's announcement of a major AI infrastructure investment led by SoftBank and OpenAI. That's all for now, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to A News for more exclusive updates. We'll be back soon.